Welcome to another episode of the Heroes of the Heart podcast. I'm Steph Garvin, the Abundant Story Architect, and I am pleased to bring to you today Jessica Brittani. Welcome to Heroes of the Heart, Jessica.
Thank you so much. I am grateful to be here.
So a little bit about Jessica. Jessica is an international mindset mentor for teens, parents, and families, and the Calm and Colorful founder, in which she empowers youth and their families with the confidence to love and accept themselves unconditionally, feel comfortable in their skin, and make courageous decisions that lead to independent, positive, and intentional choices. So tell us how you got into all of this, Jessica. What was the genesis of your experience?
So when I was a teenager, I struggled with depression, and the solution was medicine. So I was put on medicine, and then the medicine made me worse. And then different medicine gave me anxiety, daily anxiety now, and headaches. And then I had to choose, like, do I want to be able to get out of bed and then have daily anxiety and these really bad headaches, or stay in bed and not have daily anxiety and headaches? So it was just the process of like finding the right medicine. And at that time I was in such a deep depression. Like, I knew coping skills could help me, but I didn't, I knew it would take time. Like, it would take time for them to really like work, not realizing it's the same with medicine. And it's not just like a magical medicine that I get handed. So I believe that that medicine is not the solution for everyone, and that coping skills really helps with challenges in life. And so during that process on the medication and stuff like that, I self-taught and practiced coping skills and all different coping skills, meditation, gratitude, breathing exercises, and was able to get off of the depression medicine and deal with challenges in a more resilient way by having these tools now. And it's helped me get to the point where I'm at today. So my goal, and the reason that I do what I do, is to help teens not struggle the amount that I did. And looking back, like, the reason I struggled to the extent I did was I had very low self-worth, and that's what manifested into depression. So teaching teens to love themselves, that how worthy they are, step into their self-worth, and just be their true, authentic self and be able to live their best life is my goal and passion.
That's awesome. And I can relate to a lot of that. My struggle with depression began at least when I was a teen. I don't have like great recall of my childhood, but I know that I frequently had really severe bouts of depression as a teen, and I really had no idea how to, like, medicine. When I was a teen, medicine wasn't even really developed to the degree that it is today. And it was such a challenge to be dealing with this thing that I had no language for. I had no, didn't really have any allies around or anything. And it was just super challenging, as I'm sure you know really well, and it's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, it is. It feels like it's going to last forever, and there's really no light at the end of the tunnel. So I just want to be that person to help shine the light so that they can see it and know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We just got to push through.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really appreciate about people like you who have gone through the really dark moments of your life, but have come out on the other side, is the hope that it provides for people who might still be in the darkness, might still be struggling a bit, and looking for, how do I navigate this space? Right now everything looks dark, and if I'm in a tunnel right now, I don't see where the opening to this tunnel is.
Yeah, I'm really just connecting with trust at that point. And I think having a mentor and someone to just hold your hand through it all. And that's really what helped me get out of one of my depression episodes, was a life coach, and just having that support during every challenge, like messaging her and being like, this is what I'm going through. Let's work through it together, please.
Yes. Yes. And was that something that you had as a teen, or what were some of your first steps to get from the struggle that you were in? I mean, you talked about medicine and kind of for those of you in our audience who have not experienced that, medicine can both be a great aid and a humongous frustration, because medicine, especially psychiatric medicine, can both be really helpful, but can also really mess you up. And
Yeah.
it can be
And
super frustrating.
yeah. And the side effects, and yeah, finding the right one, not turning into a zombie. There's a lot,
Yeah.
a
I
lot that
definitely
comes
did
with
the
it.
zombie journey for a while. It's like the medicine just made me sleep 16 hours a day. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'd rather deal with the depression than sleeping all the time. So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. I hid behind sunglasses for a while. Like it was just
mm,
easier. And it was the medicine that made me that like literal zombiness. It was just easier to hide behind the sunglasses when I wasn't in bed. So yeah, I get it.
yeah. So, but obviously you've come to a much better place today. You know, the life coach has helped. Tell us some of the other things that have helped you to get to a better place, and particularly, you know, the work that you're doing with coloring and journaling and so forth. You know, how did that enter the mix of what you're doing now?
So to answer the first question, it was I struggled with depression throughout my teenage years into my 20s before I really and was on medicine on and off throughout those times. Before I really dug in and was like, okay, I need to like I can't keep living like this. So that's when I hired a life coach and I dug deep into self-help books. Like I'm still addicted to self-help books. Like my favorite books to read. I'm just like constantly learning, and then most importantly just taking action with the things, that tools that we learn. So in the self-help books it says, you know, try meditation, and then, you know, we take notes, okay, try meditation, and then we don't follow through with that part. So
Mm,
it's the following through words, that really is like the key to it all. So there's all these amazing tools, and I mean, same with like medicine. You have to take the medicine every day for it to work.
yes.
So same with the self-help and coping tools. And having a life coach was really like my savior, and just having someone, I'm a big fan of with my teens and families I work with, is they have my phone number. So if there's something that happens, say we meet every Wednesday at 2, but something happens on Monday, they don't have to wait until they meet me on Wednesday. They can reach out to me and we can work through that challenge in the midst of it. And I will be there to hold their hand and support them through it. And that's what my life coach did for me, which is why I'm such a big fan of that, because that's really what helps me through those tough times, and what helps, you know, my teenagers through those tough times as well. And then to answer the second question with the coloring books, so I create interactive coloring books that teach coping skills, and that was actually the start of my business. I was not even considering life coaching at that time. I just wanted to kind of like reach the mass, and coloring itself is its own meditative practice, and tying in different coping skills. So it's a series of different coping skills for each book. The first one is breathing exercises, and the second one is yoga. The third one is affirmations, which will come out in a month or so, 2, not quite sure. The next one's empowerment poses, which will come out still in 2022 is the goal. And I have about 18 total, like mapped out.
Wow.
It's just sitting down and creating them and publishing them. But yeah,
Wow.
they're coming out slowly but surely, and it's fun.
So you have 18 kind of mapped out, and then you've done how many so to date?
So I have 2 published, 3 complete. The affirmations and color is in the editing stage right now, and then
Okay.
it will be published soon. And then the fourth one is started.
Okay. Wow, that is impressive. I mean, I know what a process that can be to, come up with the genesis of the idea, to flesh it out, and then the whole publishing process can be really quite involved.
Yeah, definitely. The inspiration behind all of my coloring books is I'm very close with my cousins. And so each cousin picked an animal and a coping skill. We sat down together and talked about, which coping skill do you want? And with, my guidance, since I was the one creating the book.
Cool.
But that helped me kind of map out the 18 to have it all mapped out, made it a little easier of a process. But yeah,
That's
definitely it's a process.
So what kind of animals have you used so far?
So we have the sloth that teaches breathing exercises, the flamingo, it's Sage the sloth, Flo the flamingo teaches yoga, and Flo the flamingo is the yoga book is the cousin that I took yoga training with. So that's that connection. We both got certified together, which was really special. And next is Elizabeth the elephant, which will teach affirmations. And then after that is a turtle who does not have a name yet. And that's teaching the empowerment poses.
Okay. Wow. So when you say empowerment poses, is that kind of like Amy Cuddy's power poses and so forth?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. My own little twist on it. But yeah, it's cool. Her power poses are my inspiration behind them for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Amy Cuddy doesn't have a coloring book out there. So I love how, we can take these ideas and make them our own, both in the production of things like coloring books, but also in discovering and finding our own healing journey. Like you said earlier, there isn't some pill that, that makes it all go away and suddenly, you're 100% better and don't ever have to worry about it anymore. If your experience is anything like mine, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a whole lot of that thing, and just kind of figure out, how do you mix it all together to create what it is you need in order to live a healthy and productive and abundant life.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes the little bit of this works this time, and then next time it's a little bit of that.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're in flux all the time. We're not static creatures. We're dynamic, and it's being patient and compassionate with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, which is huge. One of my exit tools, I guess, for when we wrap up calls, like our one-on-one calls, is we always send each other hugs. But the nice. Trick is we're giving ourselves a self hug at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So that's one of the things that's nice one of the things that's nice and challenging about these kinds of connections, the virtual connection, is, it's awesome to have these connections, especially, during the pandemic and so forth, where being in person with each other was challenging at best. But there's also the fact that, we're virtual, and my, pixels can't really connect with your pixels and so forth. So,
yeah. I've been working with a couple teens for over a year now, and I got to meet them in person during my travels, and just being able to really truly hug them was one of the best feelings in the world. It was so great.
That's awesome. And what does it feel like helping people along the journey that you have been on? So, it's X number of years later from when you were struggling as a teen, and now you're working with teens who are going through similar struggles, and imagine what you were going through. What is that experience like for you?
It's heartbreaking and it's rewarding. And it's so heartbreaking to just, like, I know it and I felt it. And like, it's like, for example, negative self-talk. So even if they're not like in a deep depression, just having negative self-talk and saying something negative about themselves, it literally hurts my heart. Like I
Mm.
feel the pain that I know that they're feeling, but not in tuned with yet. So when we have negative self-talk, we're literally hurting ourselves mentally, emotionally, maybe not physically. And so that's something that it gets me. So it's just
Mm.
using my coping tools to work through those. And as I'm having those heartbreaking moments and also supporting them, and also seeing like their growth, which is so beautiful to see. And on the other side, and when they have those aha moments and they text me like, oh, I got this done, or I did my mirror work and I, said positive self-talk to myself in the mirror, or whatever, like a big confidence moment is that they have. It's just, it's amazing. I'm so grateful that I get to do what I do.
That's awesome. It is an interesting journey that we're on in going through our own healing journey, and then kind of turning around and helping those behind us to move along as well. How is that journey? And you talk about both the heartbreak and the reward of doing this work. I know for me, there are times when it's like, can I keep doing what I'm doing when I'm going through the heartbreak phase rather than the celebration phase? How do you use the tools that you have developed over the years to strengthen yourself today?
Gratitude is a big one. Just finding the gratitude in the moments that are difficult, no matter what they are, and balance, like making sure that I'm taking care of myself and I'm always practicing what I preach. So I preach self-care, I give myself self-care. And if I need a day of rest, that's okay. And I give myself that day of rest, and I teach that to my teams as well.
That's excellent. And I imagine you just did a big cross-country journey from Palm Desert, right, to Connecticut. Yep. And if your experience is anything like mine, being on a long journey like that can kind of mess up my routines, and it can be a challenge to maintain those self-care practices during that time. How have you managed to deal with that?
That's a good question. I know. So I've been traveling full time for almost 2 years now, maybe even over 2 years now. And I've learned after a while, I need a day of rest at least, if I like, once I get to my destination. And I'm big on essential oils. So that's something that I always just have handy. And like, I have one right here. So it's always within like an arm's reach. I have like my affirmations on, like, if I'm at a place for a long term, I'll make it on Post-it notes. And if I'm in the middle of traveling, so traveling from California to Connecticut was a long drive. I put them on just like index cards, and then I put the index cards in my bathroom bag. So my bathroom bag is going to go with me no matter where I go. And I pull them out and I just kind of lay them across my little sink area wherever I'm at. So just kind of making do with what I have and making it work. Drinking water is a big one. So like, I have my half-gallon bottle here, so it keeps me, instead of, yep, exactly. Unless I'd go through just tons of water bottles, which isn't good.
Yeah, right.
Which sometimes I fall in that. But so yeah, just kind of making sure I have like little toolkits that I carry with me as well, that has like essential oils, it has like a relaxation tea, it has some crystals, just like little things that I can pull out in midst of an emergency. And then I have my life coach on speed dial.
Nice. That's awesome. And tell me what you've already shared a little bit about your life coach, but I recently had an experience where something triggered me and sent me spiraling down into, depression and all that stuff. And one of the things that really helps me in those moments is having someone to reach out to. And sometimes I can reach out to them immediately. Sometimes it might even take a couple of days to have a conversation or whatever. But just having that support, kind of like you talk about the little kits that you have, the little travel bags and so forth. Part of our self-care arsenal, so to speak, is having those healthy relationships in our lives that help us to, navigate out of the darkness, the wilderness, whatever you want to call it. Can you speak a little bit to that? Like, how do you develop those relationships? And do you have any tips for both our peers as well as for the youth?
I would say, like, ask for what you need is huge in relationships that we already have. So I am very, very lucky and grateful to have an amazing boyfriend that travels with me. And when I know that I'm feeling off, whether it's anxious or overwhelmed or frustrated or whatever that is, I just go up to him and I'm like, can I have a hug? And he knows just, it's time for a hug.
Yeah.
And then it just brings me, it calms my mind, and just like I'm able to think clearer just by a simple asking for a hug. And he knows, like, I do it often. I love hugs. So even if it's just for fun, I'll ask for hugs. But he knows, like, if I'm asking for a hug, I need just like the space for a minute. Can I please have, your space for a minute? And also not like talking to less people that don't bring you up, which I feel like is common in this world. And we feel like we have to be friends with this person because we've been friends with them for, 20 years or whatever the excuses that we tell ourselves. If it's someone that does not make you feel good, it's not someone that you need in your life. And I say that with love.
Yeah. And, I appreciate both the kind of the vulnerability and the challenge of having to kind of put some distance between us and those people who aren't supportive. And sometimes that lack of support might be a temporary thing. Sometimes it might be, a longer division. But in order for how to have room for the people who do support us and do nurture us and care for us, we only have so much bandwidth, and in order to foster healthy relationships, we need to make room for them. And sometimes that's by saying goodbye to some people.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of my life coach again, she posted something today and it said that we need to sometimes get rid of the good to make room for the extraordinary. And that I felt that I really, really liked that one a lot, because it's so true. Because even there, whether it's someone that is negative and not really supportive, or just someone that's just like mediocre, that we're just kind of like about the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, we need to move them out of the way a little bit in a kind manner to make room for the extraordinary that will enter when they have space to enter.
Absolutely. I think that practice of just, how do I incrementally move into a better place? Yeah. Whether that be in relationships with other people, whether it, be improving our travel bags, or, you talked also about self-talk and how toxic that can be at times, and how it can also be a really positive thing once we develop that relationship. Can you talk a little bit about that self-talk? Like, what was it? We have 60,000 thoughts or more a day, and if a great proportion of those are negative, then just, think about what of an impact that is having on your life, and how do you move from negative self-talk to a more healthy relationship with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we have the self-talk, whether it's negative or positive, we are affecting our state of mind, which affects our reality and our life. So if we're constantly looking at the negative, or like the mess or the dirt or whatever it is, then that's all we see, and we're attracting that, because that's all, like, we're on tunnel vision to that. And when we shift it to positive things, and we notice like the butterflies or the yellow flowers, or the way that our water bottle is, tipped so nicely, and it's so cool the way looking at mine right now. Like, it's just, it's just like little things that we can find joy in, and like we see more of it when we attract that. So when we have those negative thoughts, which we're human, so it doesn't matter like who it is, like even Oprah has negative self-talk or negative thoughts. And it's just shifting it. So we can either shift it with something relatable, and like, instead of, looking in the mirror and being like, "You, I'm ugly," now we shift it to, "Oh, I'm beautiful." Which could seem a little far-fetched in the moment. If we truly feel that we're ugly, we want to maybe look for the small things, like, "Oh, my hair looks really nice today," or "I love my eyes, like I've always loved my eye color," or something like that. And then my go-to, if there's nothing that I can find that's positive in this moment, and I only see the negative, I say I love myself. And I'm like a broken record in my head. I love myself. I love myself. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm taking control of my thoughts that are spiraling down a negative thought spiral. And I'm like, nope, we're not going to do that. A funny story, I'll try to make it quick, but just to share this, like how our negative thought spirals work. I made a smoothie, by mistake poured in the plastic thing from the milk, like that you peel off, the smoothie. And I got so in my head that I was going to die because I drank plastic. And I was so far down a thought spiral. I was like in the sink, like trying to make myself like get rid of it. And I was deep in this negative thought spiral. And I looked up for a split second, and I saw lemon essential oil, and I was like, lemons. I was like, it was like a split second. I'm like, I am the one that gets to control my thoughts, not my thoughts. And so I just repeated lemon, 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 like over and over again, until I cut a lemon and just bit a lemon. And I was like, and I just took those negative thought spirals and I shifted it to something completely. Now I'm thinking about lemons, and lemons, make your mouth all like soury and watery. And so I was able to get myself out of that like full on negative thought spiral where I was like, I'm going to die. I just drank plastic, which I know is not true. And I know it's not healthy for me, but I'm not going to so I was able to just shift it, like, okay, no, I'm the one in charge here, not you.
Yes. You make a really good point that, we have our thoughts, but we don't have to have our thoughts have us. That, we can shift the narrative from, I just drank poison, and who wants to drink poison? Nobody wants to drink plastic. I can imagine that happening with, when I make my smoothies, there's all kinds of stuff going in there, and, and there can be a lot of chunking and all that stuff that goes along with making the smoothie, and then having that negative spiral going on. But you shifted it from that spiral going down the drain to just as simple, the kind of the first thing that you saw, it sounds like the lemon essential oils, and shifted your perspective from, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, to, okay, think about lemons, and just filling up your mind with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool story and a great example of, no matter what's going on, we have choice and ability to shift from I'm gonna die to lemons and as you were describing, taking the bite out of that lemon, the whole Pavlovian thing was going on, and
Yep.
I salivating and all that kind of stuff. But we really have the power to choose our path, and we have so many tools available to us if we access them and make use of them, that we can shift from the negativity to the positivity. It's just a change in perspective.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And just making that choice. Like, a question I like to ask myself, and I wish I remembered to ask myself this every minute of every day. I'm working on that still. But like, what do I choose right now in this moment? And even to go a step further, like, what do I choose right now in this moment to be my best self?
Yes. Yeah, and exactly. And it's a progression. And it's also it's not an instantaneous journey. We're not on Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty, or whatever. That it takes time for us to get from where we are to where we want to be. And it's easy because of time and because of the way our minds work. It's easy to get lost in the woods. And I'm, looking at the background. The squirrels are out there leading us on different paths and so forth. But if we can get into the practice of reminding ourselves, where are we headed? What would we like to experience? And how can we make the most of this moment?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really cool. Tell me a little bit about what would you say the first step that you would recommend when someone is just beginning on this journey? What can they do today to create a better and brighter tomorrow?
That's a really good one. So the first thing that comes to mind is hire a life coach. Being a life coach, that's my favorite thing in the world. Like, if I could pay for everyone in the world to have a life coach, I would. Like, that's how passionate I am about just having that person like by your side. Today, in this moment, breathe. I think that we breathe because it comes naturally and we just do it automatically. But to actually intentionally take a deep belly breath and breathe in, and our belly goes out, and breathe out and our belly goes in, and having that like correct breath does wonders. It will bring us out of that negative thought spiral. It will calm our nerves down. The benefits are beyond, and we do it naturally. Like, it's here. We have it at any moment of any day. So just have an intentional breath.
Yes. One of the things I love, and I tell my kids and other people all the time, just breathe. And one of those people is myself. But one of the things I love about being able to just take a breath is, one, it does immediately shift us to being present right here. It's also something that's immediately accessible to us. We don't have to go out to buy some fancy equipment. We don't have to read a book. And I love reading books. So, but there are times when we just need to shift like that, and we can always just take a breath, mindful breath. Yep. that can make a huge difference.
It's free. We have it with us at all times. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
And it's so easy to forget because it's so simple.
Yes. So as we wrap things up, I like to ask a couple of questions. One, what are you doing on a daily basis to create the life of your dreams that your heart longs for?
Ooh. So I created this acronym called ALIVE, and honestly, I have to pull it up because I don't know it by heart, but I'm going to pull it up as we're talking. So it's like have you heard of Hal Elrod? He has the Miracle Morning
Yeah.
Very similar to that, but it's my own little version of it. So so the reason I did Alive is because I was so depressed and didn't want to live. And now I am, every single day I wake up and I'm so grateful to be alive. So that's where I got that acronym from.
Yes.
So A is align and or affirmations. And aligning can be just like sitting up tall, like literally just like aligning our body. It can be working on our affirmations. It could be tapping. I'm big on emotional freedom technique. L is listen. So listen to music, listen to affirmations, an audiobook, or a podcast like Heroes of the Heart. I is inspire movement. So for me, that's either yoga, dancing, shaking, just like shaking it out, or like full body shaking, or working out. V is visualize. So I have a vision statement that I like to read every day, just to make sure I'm staying on track and also manifesting it into my current reality. And then E is energy and or empowerment pose, where we just like stand in our power pose. And that also shifts our energy. So
that's awesome.
That's my daily list.
That's perfect. And I love having acronyms like that because one, it's something that we can readily access, just like with breathing, and especially having a simple word like alive that means so much to you because there's so much behind it. It's not just a word, but it has a whole story and a whole significance to it, that it's easily accessible. And what you created with it is so meaningful.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's really cool. So my next question for you is, what is your heart calling you to do today?
What am I focusing on in my business? Is that
That could be. I mean, if that's what your heart is
Okay.
calling you to do, then absolutely.
It's usually what my heart's calling me to do is my business. It's my passion and my love. I'm creating Victoria's Village. So my heart, that's really where my heart is. And it's a space for parents and a space for teens where we talk about like self concepts, self-worth, self-responsibility. I have a list of like 40, so we just change it every month on just building up ourselves as parents and as teens, and then as a family, because ideally the teens and the parents are in the group membership as well.
That's cool. And with that, tell us about the free gift that you shared, the journal that you are offering to our audience.
The Find Your Calm journal has some different just journal prompts. It's a good amount of journal prompts around self-discovery and self-worth and self-love and all that good stuff, that just to kind of have a better understanding. So for me, it was like I didn't have any self-worth because I didn't know who I was and what I liked, and what I had to really have like a deep dive in self-discovery. So this just kind of get your feet wet, and it's a journal. So it helps you just like calm your mind and focus in on how to be the best you that you can be.
That's awesome. You know, I love the fact that when we go through the struggles that we go through, that when we do the work to get into a better place, it oftentimes involves us developing a deeper relationship with ourselves. You know, that because of the darkness, we have found ways to find the light and to bring more light into our lives as well as the lives of others. So thank you for sharing your light with us today. And thank you for being a hero of the heart.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really, really nice, and I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate you.
Likewise. And for our listening audience, until our stories meet again, be the bright light in someone's dark night.